you a king, you know it. King already, you know it. Top everything, you know it. King already, you know it. My body so got a king body. Body gon' shine, bling, bling body. Calling all the shots, ring, ring body. Crown on your head, got a king body. Don't live the king, you a king, you know it. King already, my baby.
Hello everyone. My name is Osasenga Idaho of Class 1, and today we're gathered to celebrate the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. It's been almost a year since we've last seen each other. How have you been? Well, I'm feeling well, good as can be anyway. But I'm feeling especially well today because we're gathered to celebrate the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. and his impact that we see on youth activism. All over the world, we see that the spirit of MLK lives on in the fight for Black lives, for democracy, and for equality. Through these protests, people all over are amplifying their voices, even those of us who are tired of speaking. And now, this is our chance as a school community to showcase our cultures and our identities. Today is a day of joy, of unity, and of celebration. And as we do every year, we have the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice, sung by our gospel choir, featuring many of you.
Every voice and sing.
At this time, we will present the winner of our annual MLK essay contest. This year, students were asked, what voices need to be lifted in our local, national, or global community? How can we work to ensure that they are heard and valued? We want to thank the students who took the time to passionately write about historically marginalized communities, with topics ranging from Black lives to the Uyghur people in China to LGBTQ plus youth and to refugees. Let's now hear from this year's winner, Selena Tang, Class 3.
Good morning. My name is Selena. I'm super honored to have my essay chosen and for this opportunity to share it with everyone. So here it is. In order to hear in tune to the correct pitch of the concertmaster, the orchestra softens itself until they are all in harmony. One small but powerful note instantly transforms a cacophony into a symphony, but only when those around it settle down. In Zoom world, we take the quiet for granted and can simply click a button when we want our thoughts to be heard. Unfortunately, this is not so true in the real world, where countless voices blur together and often bury the most valuable voices among everything else. We must proactively seek out these voices, the unsung voices, which could be the most impactful if we are willing to listen. We've seen recently that the ruckus is coming from people who have the privilege of not fearing consequences for their actions and words. They brazenly blaze through life and streets while others face repercussions simply because they exist. Too many in our community suffer unjustly. Their lives are put in harm's way, their worth disregarded, and their only certainty being that many leaders of our country are okay with the status quo. Members of marginalized groups cannot raise their voices without being attacked and punished. It is not their obligation to yell, but rather ours to listen well. Only then can they tell their experiences and have people truly care about their well-beings. Their voices may be soft, but their stories are powerful. We then absorb their words. We allow ourselves to feel based on these words, and we act upon these words. Words have the power to both hurt and heal, making them the driving force behind change. We've learned, however, that change occurs slowly, like the arrangement of a symphony, and must be composed note by note. Overwhelmed voices are often difficult to sustain and are vulnerable to running out of breath. But they also nudge us towards creating this vital change. I understand that I will never understand, but I will stand with you. This statement rang through our nation this year as national attention was finally brought to the Black Lives Matter movement. At the same time that we stand up, we must also learn how to stand back and be educated. Let us sit down, listen, and learn from the strongest voices that have been bellowing beneath the din. For they bring all of our voices together to create the most beautiful symphonies. Thank you.
And now we will hear a selection from the BLS Treble Choir, a vocal group made up of only soprano and alto voices. Some of you may have heard their fantastic rendition of Andra Day's Rise Up at the Winter Arts Showcase. Here is their encore under direction of Mr. Snyder.
I'm broken down, tired of living life on a merry-go-round. And you can find out, fight out, and I see it in you, so we're gonna work it out. Ooh, mountains, we gonna walk it out. And mountains, and I'll rise like the day, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Ooh, mountains, bring it to its feet. Ooh, mountains. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, I will rise up for you. I will rise for you. I will rise for you. All we need is hope, that we have each other, that we have each other. Yeah, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. We'll rise. I'll rise up the day. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up, high like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, we will rise for you. We will rise for you. We will rise for you.
We're all familiar with the tradition of public declamation. This year, Public Dec is still going strong, even in the virtual space. At our first public declamation of the school year, students in classes 4, 5, and 6 heard many compelling selections, including Yesterday, I Was African, Today, I Am Lost by Takunda Muzondiwa. It was declaimed by Ruth Shifarao, Class 1, and is a powerful statement about identity, pride, in the face of subjugation.
Good morning. My name is Ruth Shifarao, and today I will be declaiming an excerpt from Yesterday I Was African, Today I Am Lost by Takunda Muzondiwa. Muzondiwa was born in Zimbabwe, but moved to Aotearoa, New Zealand at the age of 7. This poem, which she recited at New Zealand's annual Race Unity Awards, describes her post-migration experiences with internalized racism, a system in which minorities are unconsciously rewarded for behaving in such ways that uphold whiteness and white supremacy, such as straightening hair or skin whitening, as Muzondiwa puts it. And now, yesterday I was African, today I am lost. To the man who sat behind me on the train last week, who had the audacity to touch my hair without even asking. I guess the basic human concept of respecting personal space doesn't apply to you. I didn't actually say that, which is crazy because I almost always have something to say, but in that moment, like my split ends, my mouth was too dry to speak. But luckily, my hair speaks volumes. Tangled and twisted, there are stories in these curls. Stories of a mother, father stamped with a number, marked as objects sold for property. Stories of my ancestors shackled in cages, displayed in zoos the same way you stroke me like an exhibit in a petting zoo. It's twisted and tangled. There are stories in these curls, a beautiful possession of my history's oppression. You look at me like I am Medusa's child, cursed, making everyone blind to my self-worth. For years, I tried to strip myself of this curse with a potion of chemicals. Despite the burn of sodium hydroxide on my scalp, the smell of burning flesh that filled the room, I was hypnotized by the prospect of having straight hair cascade around this broken body of insecurity. Hoping to put myself back together with glued-in weave tracks causing receding hairlines as I also mentally recede back to a time of my ancestors' inferiority, a time of no authority, forever believing that I was the target minority. You can't tell me to tame this mane, because in fact, you are the lion. And in this jungle where racism runs wild, I am your prey, you are my predator, devouring my history, leaving me so raw that my own flesh built a grave for me to lie in. I'm buried deep in my roots. And I understand I may be dead, but God, can you rehumanize the systematically dehumanized?
Along with our annual essay contest, we hold an art contest. And this year, the theme was Lift Every Voice. Students in all grade levels submitted awesome representations of this theme. Here, please enjoy the honorable mention selections along with the runners-up and the contest winner. While we're watching, let's listen to the voice of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speaking about the way he wanted to be remembered.
Any of you around when I have to meet my day? I don't want a long funeral. And if you get somebody to deliver the eulogy, tell them not to talk too long. Every now and then I wonder what I want them to say. Tell them not to mention that I have a Nobel Peace Prize. That isn't important. Tell them not to mention that I have 300 or 400 other awards. That's not important. Tell them not to mention where I went to school. I'd like somebody to mention that day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to give his life serving others. I'd like for somebody to say that day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to love somebody. I want you to say that day that I tried to be right on the war question. I want you to be able to say that day that I did try to feed the hungry. I want you to be able to say that day that I did try in my life to clothe those who were naked. I want you to say on that day that I did try in my life to visit those who were in prison. I want you to say that I tried to love and serve humanity. Yes, if you want to say that I was a drum major, say that I was a drum major for justice. Say that I was a drum major for peace. I was a drum major for righteousness. And all of the other shallow things will not matter. I won't have any money to leave behind. I won't have the fine and luxurious things of life to leave behind. But I just want to leave a committed life behind. And that's all I want to say. If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word of song, if I can show somebody he's traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a Christian ought, if I can bring salvation to a world once wrought, if I can spread the message as the Master taught, then my living will not be in vain.
And now we'll enjoy selection from the BLS Big Band under the direction of Mr. Pitts. The piece they are performing is entitled Digging on James Brown by Tower of Power. Not only is James Brown one of the most influential performers of the 20th century, but he was expertly depicted by the late Chadwick Boseman in the film Get On Up. This piece is a tribute to Chadwick Boseman's legacy as not just an artist, but a humanitarian.
One thing remains true for me. I still be digging on James Brown. I've been through all them changes. A lot of stuff came down. I dealt with all the issues. You might say I've been around. But back when I got started, there was a righteous sound. It doesn't matter what I've been through, I still be digging on James Brown. You know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It may be a different way, but I'm on the same page. 'Cause one thing that I found, I still be digging on James Brown. I had an attitude adjustment. I did some psychotherapy. I helped myself to some self-help. I dabbled in some ESP. Though my world is ever changing, and I move from town to town, it doesn't matter where I've been to, I still be digging on James Brown. You know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It may be a different way, but I'm on the same page. 'Cause one thing that I found, I still be digging on James Brown. You got your rap and your disco, you got your drum machines, you got your R-rated gangster, you got your grungy scenes, you got your state-of-the-art, got your digital sound. It doesn't matter where it's going to, I still be digging on James Brown. Take it to the bridge. It'll get you where you live. When there's water on your head, you can still get out of town. And still be digging on James Brown. The more they stay the same, it may be a different way, but I'm on the same page. There's one thing that I found, I still be digging on James Brown. You got it, Boston. I just can't help myself. I still be digging on James Brown. I still be digging on James Brown. I still be digging on James Brown. What about you, Boston? I still be digging on James Brown. You got it, Boston. Check it out. Fred, Goodweed, ACL. I'll choose everything right here. I still be digging on James Brown. What about you, Boston? I still be digging on James Brown. Now check this out, y'all. One thing that I still be digging on James Brown. See, one thing that I found, come on, I still be digging on James Brown. There's one thing that I found, one more time, I still be digging on James Brown. You got it, Boston, digging on James Brown.
Earlier in the school year, our BLS Step Squad came together safely in person to perform a tribute to Dr. King. Under the faculty advisement of Mr. Lauren Mateer, Step Squad is always a significant contributor to our MLK annual celebration, teaching step to many of their classmates. While we can't do that today, let's enjoy watching the experts.
He march for change and let everybody know what his name is. Martin Luther King Jr.
We are excited to welcome the BLS Gospel Choir under the direction of Miss George singing Kirk Franklin's My World Needs You, along with We Shall Overcome, a spiritual that became a protest song and anthem of the civil rights movement. We are proud to be a school community with so many religions represented, as well as students who don't hold religious beliefs. We hope that you hear the joy and soul in the music as a way to bring us together, regardless of background.
Show me your face, fill up this space. My world needs you right now. My world needs you right now. I can't escape being afraid. Fill me with you right now. My world needs you right now.
Show me your face, fill up the space. My world needs you right now. My world needs you right now. I can't escape being afraid. Fill me with you right now. My world needs you right now. Power fall down, bring with it a sound that points us to you right now. Erase substitutes right now.
Fix what I see, and God please fix me. My world needs you right now. Let us see you right now.
Power fall down, bring with it a sound that points us to you right now. Erase substitutes right now. Fix what I see,
And God please fix me.
and God please fix me.
The world needs you.
My world needs you right now. Let us see you right now.
Every heart in the world, God needs you to rescue. Storms have come and torn our hearts in two.
We need you.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Show me your face. Come fill this space. My world needs you right now. My world needs you right now.
Ever since the birth of our nation, white America has had a schizophrenic personality on the question of race, causing America to take a step backward simultaneously with every step forward on the question of racial justice. There has never been a solid, unified, and determined thrust to make justice a reality for Afro-Americans. The step backward has a new name today. It is called the white backlash. But the white backlash is nothing new. It is the surfacing of old prejudices, hostilities, and ambivalences that have always been there. It was caused neither by the cry of black power nor by the unfortunate recent wave of riots in our cities. The white backlash of today is rooted in the same problem that has characterized America ever since the black man landed in chains on the shores of this nation.
BLS Black plays an important role in providing student voice in the planning of this annual event, and they are proud to have produced the following piece featuring students and faculty, a BLS adaptation of Langston Hughes's I Too.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chelsea Jean-Lore. I'm the president of BLS Black. Usually on a normal MLK Day celebration, BLS Black would always contribute to both the planning of the show and the actual programming. Usually, you'd hear a spoken word written by my dear friend, Nitzvah Dimash. But unfortunately, because we cannot be in the same building together this year, we could not do a spoken word. However, Black was determined to still partake in the show. This year, instead of a spoken word, we decided that the board members of the club would recite the poem I Too by Langston Hughes. Hughes was born on February 1st, 1901. He was an American poet, social activist, novelist, and playwright. He is best known as the leader of the Harlem Renaissance. Hughes grew up in the Midwest, but later moved on to New York City, where he made his career. Throughout his life, Hughes used his talent of writing to be an activist. He often wrote about racial issues that plagued the United States in the 1900s. Some of his famous works include Not Without Laughter, Let America Be America Again, and Trouble Island. In his poem, I Too, Hughes demonstrates his yearning for equality and states that regardless of his skin color, he is too an American. In our recital, we decided that we would rework the poem. In between each stanza, you will hear members of the BLS community sing their own I Toos. Some of their I Toos are about race, others ethnicities, others religion, others about sexuality, some encompass all. Throughout the video, you'll hear people say their lines in different languages: English, Arabic, Spanish, Cape Verdean Creole, Urdu, and Mandarin. BLS Black specifically wanted this to show that America does not have a look, and that everyone can be an American. Whether English is your first language or whether you're an immigrant, you have the right to be here and earn the respect as other Americans. But more importantly, we wanted to showcase that Dr. King's work was not limited to his fellow African American brothers and sisters, but it was to help people like me, Black immigrants, people like Marky, Southeast Asians, people like Bella, queer individuals, people like Marine, South Asians, people like Janice, first generation Americans, people like me, you, your neighbors, our community, and every single American. So as you watch the video, remember that whether you're a descendant of Irish immigrants that immigrated here in the 1840s, or a descendant of Vietnamese immigrants that came here in the 1970s, or whether you are an immigrant yourself, you are an American. And as we celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. King, we celebrate you too as well. And without further ado, BLS Black version of I Too by Langston Hughes.
I too sing America.
I too am your Yoruba Nigerian sister.
I too am your Filipino brother.
Yo también soy tu hermana homosexual y latina.
Mi tambe es tu hermana caboverdiana.
I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen.
When company comes, but I laugh.
And eat well and grow strong.
I too am your queer sister.
我也是你的华裔姐妹.
Soy tu hermano colombiano y puertorriqueño.
أنا أيضا أختك العربية المسلمة.
Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes.
Dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then.
I too am your Ethiopian Muslim sister.
मैं भी हूँ आपकी South Asian बहन.
I too am your Guyanese African American brother.
I too am your second generation Haitian American sister.
They'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed.
Yo también soy tu hermana afro-latina de primera generación.
I too am your Nigerian adult brother.
Yo también soy tu hermano caribeño.
I too am your African American sister.
I too sing America. I am the melanin-filled sister. They send me to teach the Eurocentric curriculum when the standardized test comes, but I laugh and teach the diverse curriculum well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when the standardized test comes. Nobody will dare say to me, teach the Eurocentric curriculum then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am. They'll see how beautiful my history is and be ashamed. I too am America.
Greetings, beautiful people. I hope you've been inspired by this e-assembly thus far. Many individuals have put in a great deal of work to put it together in the hopes that it'll bring joy and unity during these challenging times. As you know, today is not just our MLK celebration, but it is Inauguration Day. It is a historic moment for many reasons, but as we consider our theme of lifting every voice, we celebrate the swearing in of Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, not only the first woman to serve as Vice President, but also the first Black and Asian American to hold the role. This picture, which has become popular on social media, shows both Kamala Harris and Ruby Bridges, who also made history and broke barriers as she integrated schools in Louisiana in 1960. young women at BLS, representing multiple affinity groups and dance groups, have come together to create a tribute to this special moment in our nation's history.
If you feel insignificant, you better think again. Better wake up because you're part of something way bigger. You're part of something way bigger. Not just a speck in the universe, not just some words in a Bible verse. You are the living word. You're part of something way bigger. Bigger than you, bigger than we, bigger than the picture they framed us to see. But now we see it. And it ain't no secret, no. Understand the truth about that question in your soul. Look up, don't look down, then watch the answers unfold. Life is your birthright, they hit that in the fine print. Take the pen and rewrite it. Step out your estimate. Step in your essence and know that you're excellent. Rise. Spirit is teaching, no, I'm not just preaching. I'm taking my own advice. Let mama let you know. Mama's still trying, I can't get no days off. I don't get no days off, truly I'm feeling it. I had to say that thing twice. Trying to be a good wife, still really hard, I can't lie. But I promised you I would fight, so I fight. If you're feeling frustrated and you're sinking, I'm jumping in. Forgiveness is key because we're fighting something way bigger. You never lose, we are winners. I'll be the roots, you be the tree. That's on the fruit that was given to me. Legacy. We're part of something way bigger. Than the picture they framed us to see. Legacy. Oh, you're part of something way bigger. Let love be the water I pour into you and you pour into me. There ain't no drought here. Bloom into our actual powers. I'll be a sanctuary. You just don't know it yet. You just don't know it yet. No matter how hard it gets, you got my blood in you, and you're gonna rise. You're part of something way bigger. You're part of something way bigger. Bigger than you, bigger than me, bigger than the picture that painted us to be. Yeah. Ooh, ooh, you're part of something way bigger. Understand that truth about that question in your soul. Birthright, they hit that in the fine print. Take the pen and rewrite it. Step out your estimate. Step in your essence and know that you're excellent. Rise. The spirit is teaching. No, I'm not just preaching. I'm taking my own. If you feel insignificant, you better think again. Better wake up because you're part of something way bigger. You're part of something way bigger. I'll be the roots, you'll be the tree. Pass on the fruit that was given to me. Legacy. We're part of something way bigger.
Wow, those dances were amazing, weren't they? You know, this year has made us all reflective. We're all looking inward and being grateful of what we have as individuals and as a community. We have to protect and nourish every community and every person. One thing we've all realized this year is the power of the forgotten voices. The frontline workers, the protesters, the researchers, They've all reminded us to speak up, even with the mask on. So the question is, what will you do to lift your voice?
The young king make the body come rule your world. Yo, yo, yo.